When you have something to do, but know you aren't going to get to it right away, does it go on your next action or your someday maybe list? That's the question we got from Angie, and we'll ask David Allen in just a moment. First of all, I want to remind you that if you want to create your GTD system digitally, I have two courses that you might be interested in. The first one is Getting Things Done in a Digital Environment, which is platform agnostic. The other is Getting Things Done in Evernote. And as the title suggests, it takes GTD methodology and shows you how you can implement it on Evernote. Both courses are available right now at daveedwardsmedia.com. Just click on courses. So back to Angie's question. Next actions, according to GTD, are defined as something you need to work on, whereas a someday maybe list has less urgency. So if you have something that you need to do, but know you aren't going to work on it right away, well, let's ask GTD author David Allen.
In a way, everything except talking to me right now is someday maybe for you. The world could end in 5 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever.
Mhm.
Or, you're in 20 below, wind chill, God knows, what could happen. So in a way, they're just all different shelves of menu options about things to do and things you might want to focus on. So in a way, the someday maybe this is nothing more than all the rest. It's just a little bit further back shelf. You have stuff in your kitchen that's kind of someday maybe I might want to use that spice, right? But you
Mhm.
still have it. You still have the
Right.
spice. It's still there as an option. So there's no difference in a way about that. I understand what you're saying, and it actually is a it's a common, not stumbling block so much as it is a common challenge, is to constantly be discreet about the difference between what's on a someday maybe list and what's an active project.
Why don't you define that for us?
Someday maybe I don't have next actions. They're just things I look at and say I might want to move on that. I might want to do that at some point. And you could have an action someday maybe. Someday maybe I might want to surf the web about this or do that or the other. Actually, for a while, I've discarded it a year or two ago. I used to have a uh, sort of a hangout on the web list. All those things. Hey, you should watch this cat video. This is so cool. So I used to have a list of all of those things, and I never got. Every once in a while, I was like, okay, let me just go surf that and see if I want to go look at that thing or look at that thing. So it was kind of an action. It was kind of a someday maybe on the computer list of stuff I might want to do, and I think that's fine. That was fine, and I just had a place to park stuff in case I ever wanted to. In case I was ever in that kind of context, and I want to be able to use that. But you're right. Oftentimes, people think that someday maybe is kind of a discard list. So then what they don't do is they don't put projects that they might want to do, but not quite yet. It's kind of on hold right now, but whatever. They don't put that on their someday maybe list. They put it on their active project list and then feel guilty because they're not doing it. And
Exactly.
then they actually don't want to look at their list because they're looking at a lot of stuff that they just don't have the bandwidth to focus on.
Yeah.
And so that's then what happens and why that that list kind of falls off the radar for most people is simply because then the bad news is that then they start to go numb to their other list because their other lists are full of stuff that really ought to be someday maybe. Now someday maybe it, by definition could be anything from the bucket list. Hey, before I die, Dave Edwards would like to climb Mount Everest, or take a balloon ride, or around the Chianti region in Italy, or you know, or visit Iceland or New Zealand or whatever. So it could be everything from the bucket list of call I might want to do those kind of things, all the way down to, God, this is just a parking lot, and I need to park until we come to our next staff meeting because we haven't budgeted yet, and we don't have the funds or the time or bandwidth to actually work on these things. But these would be very cool projects if we rebudget and
Mhm.
rethink it. And so you can have that sort of parking lot, operational parking lot stuff all the way to the bucket list stuff. And any of that and all of that could be on the someday maybe list. The trick is to keep conscious about whatever's on that list and keep saying, no, fine, not to move on that right now.
Again, I hope that helps. If you have a GTD or productivity related question, email me at daveedwards@outlook.com and I'll try to address it in a future segment. And in the meantime, don't forget about my GTD implementation courses. Find out more at daveedwardsmedia.com. Click on courses. GTD is a wonderful and powerful tool. I've been using it for decades. But if you read David Allen's book or see any of his seminars, you'll quickly find out that it was designed for paper-based systems. Allen told me once that it's platform agnostic, but he likes the paper-based approach. Well, that's not practical for everyone. Within 1 year, I started traveling a lot for my job, and it wasn't easy to transport all my files with me. That led me to figure out how to create a digital GTD system. So I've created an hour-long, on-demand course on the subject. Find out more at daveedwardsmedia.com. Click on courses